Alright, I opened up Amber's file in Illustrator. You guys should, I have a feeling a lot of you don't use Illustrator, and you really should start using Illustrator and or InDesign and anything similar, because that's really what's going to give you quality boards down the road. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come to Document Setup up top here, and I'm going to hit Edit Artboards. And so up top I get a width, and so I'm going to do 24, and I'm going to get a height, and I'm going to do 18. There we go. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Control negative sign zooms out. And now for boards, something that you guys don't need in a board is, let's see if I can grab this without grabbing everything else. Let's see, there we go. You don't need title blocks. Title blocks are for drawings that are going to go into construction documentation, so on and so forth. They're not for, there's no need for them in a board, okay? Now, from here, I just opened this up, so I'm kind of playing with you guys as I'm doing this thing. I just wanted to see how it would work, because she actually exported this out of Revit, and what I'm really looking for you guys to do is do an Illustrator board or an InDesign board. Don't do Photoshop. Photoshop is for manipulating images. It's not for building boards. Okay, so you get a completely different tool set and a completely different outcome when you deal with that. So I'm just kind of getting rid of extra stuff that's sitting in here. See, there we go. Edit, undo that. So I got to figure out what's here that I can grab, and so I think I can grab that. Yep. Grab that image. Grab this image. Take these guys. Whenever you guys remember, you can name these things, and I'm looking for real names, because if you're going to show something to a client, you know, they want to see that space that you're trying to create here. Now these ones, it looks like I can't grab the whole, yeah, see. Let's do a little undo on that. Alright, in this one it looks like it's starting to cut off as well. So these are harder to grab. Let's see if I can grab more than one. I'm holding the shift and grabbing the two pieces. Object, group. So that'll help. Yeah. I'm going to get rid of the other. I'll get rid of the second floor anyway and just keep the first for now, just so we can move along with this video. But let's see what's going on here. I think I'm going to group that too. Alright, so now I've got some pieces at least to work with. And for boards, let's learn to do regular boards before people start going with the crazy stuff. So I just did a right click. I'm going to show grid. And over here I'm going to flip this so that my stroke, so that's the line part, is black, and then the fill is nothing. And I'm going to use the rectangle tool. I'm just going to come up in this general area. Let's see. And pull a rectangle. And then I'm going to adjust the size of it a bit. So I'll take this guy and I'll pull it over. And I'm going to even turn on the rulers. There we go. And let's see here. So if that's an inch right there. So I'm just pulling in guides. 24, 23 is the inch right in there. Okay, so I'm going to take this I'm just going to move it to the inch marks on each side. Top and bottom, you could do the same thing. Try to find that nearest, that first inch. There it is. Actually, I'm going to leave the bottom with a little extra weight because it's always nice to have a visually heavy bottom on a board. Alright, so with this, I'm going to go in, come over to Object, go to Path, split in a grid, number of rows. I'm going to turn on preview so I can watch this thing. Number of rows, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 rows looks pretty good. Number of columns. That looks pretty good. Now let's do some gutters. Alright, and let's do guides for those. Hit OK. So now basically I've got guidelines for all this stuff and a grid going on. Alright, and really the way I like doing this is I come in with layers, and I do this all with layers, so I'm going to show you here. Grab this, pull it off to the side, grab this guy, pull it off, this one, pull all this stuff off the board, and come in here. Let's right click and lock our guides. Okay, and I'm going to hide them for a second too. There we go. Grab all that. And let me come and make a new layer. Grid. And take all this stuff and edit undo. Hold on. Take all this stuff and do a right click, Control X for cut. Jump onto the grid layer, Control V for paste, and just put it in place here. Move it down so it's on that first inch. And here's where I can turn on my show guides. There we go. Grab this stuff and move it back so it hits the guides. There we go. And then I'm going to lock that layer. Then I can't move it. So these guys, let's take these images, and realistically I think the images were going to have to be bigger. And if you put them on a bigger sheet or plot them out to a larger size, it works better. I'm going to pull these a little bit, but as soon as I pull them, they're going to be distorted and hard to read. So that's one thing that we have to always think about. But so what I would be doing then, I'm holding my control key, I'm sorry, my shift key, to make sure it stays relevant in scale. So it pulls evenly when I do this. So when I'm pulling the corner here, if I hold the shift, you should all remember that from taking your classes on the Adobe software. So let's do that. Let's do that. I haven't even, I'm just throwing stuff on the board. I have not arranging yet. Just trying to see what it's kind of how it's gonna fit. I think that this one looks like it was sideways. And let's see. Yeah, there's my lights. Here's my lights. So let's try this. What if I did that over here and tried to give it a size similar to this one on top? And actually, now that I'm looking at this, shrink these up. There's 1, 2. I might have to even shrink them up further. Yep. Be cool if I could fit 3 across, basically. So, grab this guy. Bring him into there. That one to there. And that one to there. So the width is the same. And then I would divide out on the grid. And people are always like, well, you're not using a grid exactly. Well, yeah, I kind of am. I'm dividing it out so you've got an even amount between the two pieces here. But it still gives us that structure. And then this guy, let's see how this does. I'm not sure I even like it. In that view, pull this thing, get it larger. There we go. So we got that one there. What I'm doing is making sure that visually, when you look, there's a consistent line that happens. Okay? And that starts creating a border idea. And then this text, I don't know what the font size or anything is, but I would make the text a bit bigger. But you don't want the text to be so huge that it's like, holy cow, what is this? It's 18 by 24 board and the text is, you know, way too large for the board. Alright, so we get that going on. And then if it were me, I would actually come in and say that maybe I'm showing a color palette or something like that. So do something like this. And that's one of the colors. And let's give these guys some sort of a line weight around them. So it looks like there's some border happening. So see how there's starting to get some border happening. And even on these, you can throw in a line and you'll start to get some border happening around those as well, which helps a lot. We can even do drops, shadows, and things like that on these to make them look a little bit more interesting. So we got this going. Let's say, you know, I wound up doing a whole bunch of these color samples so that you're showing the client the different color ideas that you're going to come up with. And do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 samples. I'm not going to sit and do them all. Oops. Let it undo. There we go. There we go. But you get the idea. you can see how it starts to build. And you could even go all the way down with this thing. It would look pretty cool. You know, all your different samples or whatever. Maybe the company logo goes right in the middle here, kind of cool. And then down at the bottom, start my text tool and figure out a decent text and come in and create, you know, whatever you want this title to be. Let's go up to like a 24 or 28 or something like there. Let's go 36 so you can see what that looks like. And then you can put your name over here. You know, create something kind of as a real titling element on the board here. And let's give that some life. Alright, so you can get a name over here, get this. And then the other thing you want to do is make sure you label your shots. Okay, so you want to label the different views. A couple different ideas on that. And you want to make sure these are not the same size as your bottom text, you know, because this is a title, so it's a main element, you know. So view into blank, whatever it is, view into that. Control copy, paste. Same idea. Okay. And I think really I might even shrink this one up a hair then, so you can get something going on down below, and move these up just a little bit more, just so it doesn't interfere with this, or you pull that down a little bit more. But I think you guys are getting the idea here of what I'm talking about. So if I move these up, so that that bottom is still consistent across, and I can get this to have, you know, plan view, blah blah blah. Let's make sure it's aligned with the one across the way. And then we got to get one for here, so I'd shrink this one up just a hair too. And the same idea. Get some sort of labeling in there, and maybe even shrink that up just a hair more, so the label really does look like it goes with the one above and not the one below. But you see how I'm starting to get a nice looking board here? That's where you should be going with this, because then this can literally go into your portfolio at the end. And I would come in and turn off the grid layer, so we can really start to see this just as a board. Print it out as a PDF. Like I say, remember, there'd be more colors going down here. Got your explanation plan or plans, depending on how you do this. But hopefully you guys can get the idea learning how to lay out this stuff and market yourself is huge. So please work on using the softwares, you know, the Illustrator, InDesign, even Photoshop for touching things up. It's huge. You want to be able to put your best foot forward and make the cleanest presentation possible. Okay?